All right, as great and as good and as handsome as Jan Age Fjortoft was, it gets even better now because it's time for Quick Hits.
Let's go. Let's do this, Gab.
Unai Emery spoke to our boy Sid Lowe and gave his version of events on his departure from Arsenal. And what I discover is that apparently the departures of Laurent Koscielny and Nacho Monreal were a huge blow. But most of all, he said something, and I feel slightly vindicated because it's exactly what I wrote in my column. He didn't feel protected. He felt exposed. He's used to working with high-profile director of football types who speak out regularly, whatever, and keep him sort of insulated, just focused on the football. He didn't have a go at Raul Sanllehi and Edu. But I think reading between the lines, I think that was definitely the implication. It was a very different kind of job or scenario for him.
Yeah, he said that, although he also said that Nasser El-Khelaifi in Paris protected him. I'm not really sure that actually happened. But I see his point, I see your point. Let's not forget that the people who chose him were not the people who happened to arrive at the club. So Raul Sanllehi and Edu didn't choose Unai Emery. That was Ivan Gazidis and the team before them. So in a way, as you know very well, when a new sporting director arrives or a new team in charge of a club arrives and the manager is not their guy, their man, then I think it's always more complicated and more difficult for the manager who was chosen by the predecessors. And I think that's exactly what happened as well, on top of the fact that there were other issues, that they clearly didn't get on in terms of transfers, because in the same interview with Sid, Unai Emery also said that he wanted Wilfried Zaha and not Nicolas Pepe, and that the club went for Pepe. And Emery says, I wanted someone who knew the Premier League already, who could be a match winner for us. Like
I thought that was a bit of kind of like a cheapo comment.
Yeah,
like,
I completely
okay,
agree.
yeah, so they cost the same, but one of them is 7 years older, and Palace don't want to sell. I mean, come on, you know.
I know, I agree with you completely. There's also the line about Mesut Ozil, that he wanted him to be committed in the dressing room, and that Ozil wasn't. There's a lot of great things in that interview from Sid. But yeah, of course, I think that the big line is that he felt isolated on his own, not protected. And he also refers it maybe to the Wenger era, in the sense that when Wenger was there, because when Wenger was the boss, no one really had to protect him, come out and defend him. And he felt that maybe they should have done with him.
Yeah, I don't know if he's necessarily helping himself in his next job too. When you come out and, you know, I think the vogue today is for managers who have strong personalities, who are more autocratic. You know, I can't imagine Mourinho or Pep coming out and saying like, oh, the club's not protecting me. Like, you know, people who want to be in the limelight, want to talk, want to be the face of the club. Yeah. With Emery, it never felt that way. And even in this interview, he comes out and he kind of holds back on a few things, and he says, well, you know, I'm a club man and stuff like that. I follow the instructions. I'm not saying you should never hire this guy again, but you should hire him if you have a strong director of football or executive guy who's very visible, who speaks regularly, and who can go to him and say, Unai, here's the first team. You're in charge of the first team. Let me do the talking.
Siniša Mihajlovic says Zlatan Ibrahimovic won't be staying at Milan when his contract expires at the end of the season. Ibra is back in Milan, but after this season, and that he will be either with him at Bologna or go back to Hammarby, where he's a part-time, shareholders or half owner of the club. Gab, how does he know, and what do you think will happen?
He's a very clever man, Mihajlovic. No, Mihajlovic and Ibra are very close, obviously. They've had their battles over the year. They're both brothers of the Eek Brotherhood. I guess he speaks to him regularly on the phone, and he came out. This Hammarby thing is just weird because obviously he's a Malmo legend, and his statue keeps getting vandalized to the point that they're suggesting now they might move it because they put it back up and they knock it down. I don't get this Hammarby thing. My hunch, and it's purely just a hunch, is that it's not a great thing to be a part owner and a player at a club. If things don't go right, whatever, if there's certain things you want to say, if you're not happy. I don't know that he'll necessarily want to be at Bologna, but he gets along great with Mihajlovic. The club already walking it back saying, oh, but Ibra's expensive. But, dude, if he just wants to play and stay in Italy and eat some good food and enjoy his lifestyle, then Bologna's not a bad place to be, I think, especially with his buddy on the bench.
I mean, I have to say, I hear what you say. I would love him to play for Hammarby while being the boss there while owning the club or some of the club. Can you imagine if he's not happy at halftime, he can sack the manager, he can just sack the players. It would be fantastic. It would be fantastic.
Zubizarreta is gone from Marseille. Shock, horror. AVB up next?
I think so, Gab. That's what sources have told me, but that's also what looks the most likely because Zubizarreta and AVB were so close. Zubizarreta brought Villas-Boas to Marseille after a 2-year sabbatical for the Portuguese. They were enjoying working together, even if the situation and the context was quite difficult in Marseille with the financial issues that the club has and everything. And the fact that the club sacked Zubizarreta was like, AVB was like, huh, what? Really? Now, I think the club is trying to sort of rekindle the things with AVB. I just don't think it's going to work. I don't think he would want to work with the people who sacked his friend. He doesn't get on with Jacques-Henri Hérault, who's the president of the club. He knows that there will be no money available in the summer. And on top of that, they will sell 2 or 3 of their best players. Chaleta Char, for example, Camara as well, Sanson maybe, because they need to find 60 million euros somewhere. And then he doesn't want to play in the Champions League next season with a rubbish team. And I can understand that completely. So I just would not be surprised if AVB was walking out very soon. He's got 1 year left on his contract. I think the whole thing is about, does he get signed and get some money? Does he live by himself and doesn't get any money? I think they will find an agreement somewhere. I would be very surprised if AVB was still the manager in Marseille next season.
I'll tell you what, if he comes on the market as a manager, Jules, all right, obviously Allegri and Pochettino are exhibit 1 and 1A of, coveted out-of-work managers. But I don't think AVB would be far behind that. I mean, the stock is up again, no?
You're right. He did a really good job then. Okay, they were not the most sexy team to watch. They were very efficient in both boxes. They were very solid. The team spirit was great. But that's all down to him. He got them so well organized and finishing second, even if Monaco are in transition, even if Lyon are in transition, it's a very good job done by him in France. And I think it would be a big loss for Marseille, but a very good gain for whoever then would employ him next. Well, Toni Kroos has ruled out a move to England once his contract expires at Real Madrid in 3 years' time because of the physicality of the Premier League. Well, hang on. Is he a wimp or something, Gab? What's going on?
Well, Toni Kroos is a big, strong, strapping German, but the reality is...
I thought he was a big baby.
No, in 3 years' time, he's going to be 32, 33 years old. And, he might not fancy it on a wet, windy night at Stoke or Burnley. I think it's as simple as that. I'd much prefer a guy being honest about it. I mean, there's been talk about a reunion with Pep and whatever. First of all, I'm not even sure Pep will be in the Premier League in 3 years' time to start with. But
yeah,
I tell you what, I'm not even sure Toni Kroos will see out his contract at Real Madrid because players rarely see out their contracts at Real Madrid. And I think he's been tremendous. He's taken care of himself. He can keep playing into his 30s and contribute. But there is that little bit of a cliff edge that happens once you get past a certain age, once you talk renewals. And, I appreciate his honesty. What I would love to see is Kroos saying, you know what? I'm not going to get into a contract dispute with Real Madrid. I've made a lot of money here. I've won a lot of things. Let me just ease out the last couple of years of my contract and then move somewhere on a free, maybe somewhere where, I'm a fan of the club and I want to go back to. Doesn't have to be a big club and enjoy my last few years in football.
Well, and finally, Gab, I knew you've been really dying to tell us all about this game that the whole world was gripped on this weekend. But FC Seoul beat Gwangju 1-0 in the K-League, one of the big clash of the K-League this weekend. But the club is in a bit of trouble. Tell us about it, Gab. And which club, by the way? Which one of the two?
I love the fact that you don't actually know this story. Normally, anything I come up with, because Jules is actually pretty freaking encyclopedic, he normally knows everything. But you don't quite know about the story,
no,
do you?
I know this one. No.
Okay. So, in the K-League, to try to make things more exciting, they pipe in crowd noises. And different clubs they've had mannequins and robots in the stand and stuff like that. So FC Seoul said, "Oh, let's order up a bunch of mannequins. There were supposed to be mannequins in the stands. Instead, they ordered up a bunch of inflatable people. Except they all had to be women. It hasn't been established if this is they were, but they look like inflatable dolls that you might use for a different purpose. And so as a result, Seoul said, well, we didn't know, and so on. And like you couldn't tell that they're all females and that whatever. Anyway, they've issued an apology. I guess it's one of the snafus of football in the pandemic era.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.